about the Kenya-Uganda border, because I know this is the most notorious one.
True.
What exactly have you put in place that has actually saved us the 11 billion like you mentioned last year, and could we save more money this year?
So many measures have been put in place. For example, we have scanners across all the manned borders. Then we are coming up with a drone soon, surveillance drone, to help out with the unmanned borders. Then we have intensified on our intelligence. We have intelligence across. Then we have strengthened and added additional checkpoint. For example, now at Ginger Bridge, we have added a 24-hour checkpoint there. And we also work closely with the communities. We also work closely with the communities to ensure that they provide us with information. And the sensitization also to the community so that they get to know the danger of smuggling, not only to the economy but also to them as individuals. You know, smuggling affects everybody. Besides the government missing money to provide the services, but even you, actually, when you go in the market, and let's say you buy sugar, you know, smuggled item, they don't go through all required regulatory checks. For example, ideally, when someone imports goods, let's say consumable, it has to go through Bureau of Standard, it has to go through National Drug Authority, assuming their drugs, things like that. So someone, smuggled goods will invade all those processes. And in a way, you can end up buying goods that can end up being harmful to your health.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are some of the scrutiny procedures or checks that qualify for a good not to be called smuggled? Because some people could be smuggling without knowing that they are smuggling. What are some of the things that someone who is importing goods, for example, or exporting from Uganda should have on their list in order for them to be qualifying to be a legal importer or exporter?
The baseline is to ensure that you are paid the right taxes. And that means when you are importing goods outside Uganda, you have to pass through a gazetted point, a custom gazetted point. And when you reach there, you pay. You pay, depending on what you are bringing in, and in what quantity and what value. For example, if you're coming from Kenya, and you're coming with a good of a value less than $2,000 US, you do what we call the simplified trade regime, PP4, for passenger baggage, whereby customs officer will declare for you these goods, but you don't need an agent, and they give you assessment. Of course, which will require you to provide the necessary document. Yes, like proof of payment, invoice. In case you don't have, the officer will use other methods to determine the value of this good, and you are given assessment, then you pay. However, if your good is more than that value, you are required to employ the service of an agent, and who will calculate for you the right taxes, and you pay. So in such a way, that goods qualify to be legal goods, and come into the market and you sell. Yes. Of course, also if it is the other goods, like I say, consumable, or the other goods whereby other regulatory agencies like National Bureau of Standards, they have interest, they will also look into. Let's say if it is food, let's say if it is garment, they use clothes. The National Bureau of Standards will also pick interest, and they will ensure that you meet the required criteria before they allow you in.
Are there specific volumes that are, for example, supposed to be taxed? When you look at, for example, some people bring goods into the country, maybe not for sale, maybe they're bringing them for consumption, but they're bringing them in specific sizes or in bulk. Do you as well have to tax such categories of people, or only people who are doing this for business are entitled to this tax?
They are allowable. For example, if you are coming back, if you travel and you're coming back into the country with goods less than $500 US, you are not taxed. You're allowed to come in free. any good with a value of less than 500 US dollars, you are not required to pay anything. Anything above that, you are required to pay. Yes.
Wow, and that ranges from all different kinds of products, from
yes.
clothes.
Yeah. We look at the value,
Okay.
except if you're a returnee. If you have been, let's say, working in Canada, and reaches a point whereby, say, I have worked here and I'm returning citizens. We allow you to come back with all the items you have been using there, including one car. As long as you can prove that you have used that car the other side for more than a year, and now you're coming back with it. Those are some of the cars you see with the red number plates. We give you it duty free, but one. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, smuggling remains a major source of income, especially for border communities like Busia, Katuna, Mpondwe border, and it's edged on especially corrupt security personnel at the borders, at both sides of the divide. And these provide unofficial fees sometimes for customs and incomes of these marginalized communities. And the marginalized communities tend to thrive on this sort of illegal activity. What do you think contributes to the rise in smuggling, especially amongst the communities near the border? Because these are the people that generally face this on a daily. They face either people who would want to smuggle or themselves smuggle goods into the country. But what do you think are some of the things that are pushing citizens into the vice of smuggling?
Like I mentioned earlier, one is greed, and two, lack of knowledge, of which of late we have done a lot of engagement, because sometimes you can find that someone is smuggling a fertilizer, which ideally doesn't pay anything, but still they find themselves through the illegal route. But we have done a lot of sensitization to the community to ensure that at least people get to know what to do. We have also made clearance more simpler by introducing the simplified trade regime, whereby you don't have to pay an agent. You know, when you declare goods, when you have like a large quantity of goods and you have to employ the service of the agent, they will have to charge you extra money. So we'll put that in place. And back to your question, what drives them? Greed, lack of knowledge, and the desire to outcompete other people in the same business. Because once you pay taxes, you cannot sell at the same price like someone who smuggled.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, those people who want to use the underhand method to outcompete others who are in the same business, who want to push others out of business.
Yeah. Want to get into a break, but before we get into that break, we have companies that are taxed, for example, under different tax regimes. For example, let's say tobacco manufacturing companies or cigarette manufacturing companies. They are taxed highly, and we know all, for the reason of health and given the fact that we don't want the public to consume these items, they're taxed so highly. But then you have those, like you've mentioned, that bring them in illegally, and then they go away without any scratch. They get to get at a half price, maybe sell at a half price, and they make a lot of huge profits. Are you also focusing specifically on some of these in a special way, especially to curb some of these items in Uganda? For example, alcohol, I will just give a few examples, maybe cigarettes and other goods that are tagged not good for the public. Are there special efforts in line with these products?
Very true. Like you did mention that we tax them highly. We also put a lot of effort in protecting their market. So we do a lot of focus, and especially in those goods which give us a lot of money in terms of taxes. You did mention alcohol. We have a lot of focus there to ensure that illegal spirit doesn't find its way here. Cigarette, we put a lot of emphasis to ensure that nothing's coming. And a few days ago, I think we were able to intercept an ambulance coming from northern Uganda with the cigarette. That really shows that our intelligence it's very hard to come in. Yes.
Oh. We're going to take a very quick break, Mr. Wanjala. My name is Anthony. We are discussing the effects of smuggling and what the Uganda Revenue Authority is doing to ensure that this vice comes to an end. Last year, Mr. Wanjala just mentioned, we saved over 11 billion shillings worth of tax just by measures taken by the Uganda Revenue Authority to curb smuggling. Now, when we return, Mr. Wanjala, we want to look at the departments that are in the Uganda Revenue Authority and how you are handling this. And then, what are some of the legal consequences? Have we had those very strict laws in place to ensure that smugglers come to an end in the country? My name is Anthony. Once again, we are taking a very quick breather. Stay with us. Don't touch your dial.